Hello and welcome to another episode of the Diet Obsessed podcast. I am your host, Veronica Santarelli. I am a certified personal trainer, nutrition and weight loss coach, and this podcast is for those of us who are just obsessed with all things related to improving health and longevity, with a special emphasis on food, fitness, and diet culture. All right, let's get into the show. But first, if you want to support the show, there's a few ways you can do that. So this is one of my free episodes. I do 2 free episodes every other week, and then every other week I do a premium content show called Craving More and Craving More VIP. So if you want extra shows, you can subscribe through Patreon. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can subscribe to get up to those 2 different tiers. Another way, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribing on YouTube does not cost a thing. It just means you're basically following the show and you get notified when new show's out. So clicking that subscribe button on YouTube really helps us podcasters. Even if you don't watch the show, if you can just go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel, the Diet Obsessed podcast channel, that would be tremendously helpful. And then a third way is just leaving a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts. That just means leave some stars, leave a comment on iTunes, on Spotify, wherever you listen. All of those ways really support the show, and I appreciate your support. All right, everyone, let's get right into my regular segments, starting with my mental health check-in. So this week, it's been a couple weeks, so I probably should have prefaced last month. Today is the last week of March, or the last day of March. I'm taping this on Tuesday the 31st. And March had an extra Sunday in it. So usually I just skip that week and nothing airs. But this week, as maybe some of you watched, I posted that Super Bowl video of my boyfriend and I making the beer cheese recipe. So for those of you that are like, well, what am I watching right now? This is not the Diet Obsessed podcast. I am hoping to do more shows like that where he and I team up and we do some sort of cooking show. He always wants it beer related, like beer in the recipe, which, okay, I'm not a huge fan of beer. Like, I can go out and I can drink a beer. Like, I go out to breweries all the time and I'll have a beer. It's not my favorite thing. It's heavy. Who was the person that said drinking a beer is like eating a couple slices of bread? And it's like, oh my God, well, that's not what I want to be doing. So, but I like to go out and have a beer at a brewery. And I do think it's kind of a cool thing to be able to like add beer to certain recipes and enhance the flavor. And of course, Chad is trying to become this beer influencer. And so I actually really like that idea. Although I did say to him the other day, I mean, this is just adding extra calories to all the recipes that we're making, which is not always my goal, right? Like, obviously I don't mind eating something indulgent, but overall, like if I'm making rice, I don't want beer adding extra calories in that rice. He recently made this tempura shrimp and made beer rice. And I'm like, I'll have the plain rice, but thank you. So I had this idea the other day. I'm like, why don't we do beer pairings? I said, that way I can make what I want to make, and then you can just do a beer pairing with it. So anyway, he still likes the idea of the beer recipes and he likes that better, but I have gotten consensus from his other friends that, hey, maybe we should just do beer pairings. But anyway, I will be doing, if for any of you that watched it, I do think they did a really good job editing it, because as the day progressed, I was getting bitchier and bitchier. I was like not in a good mood. You saw a little bit of the mess. Like you could see when I was like stirring and trying to get those bubbles to go down in the pot. I'm like, what is happening here? So you could kind of see like the side profile of me of just me just stirring. I was like getting angrier and angrier at how messy this was becoming. And anyway, it was like behind the scenes stuff that thankfully you couldn't really see a lot of that. So I will say he did a really good job filming it. But that was just a hectic day. Like we were having guests over, we were preparing for the Super Bowl. So, and I told him, I'm like, look, when I get more time, I want to do stuff like this because I do want to expand like what I'm doing with this show. And I just have not had the time or the capacity to really do that. Now, I did just announce to my VIPs on the last VIP show that I did finally give my notice for personal training. So I started personal training almost a year ago. And I've been working for this gentleman, Jose, who's just been awesome. And he gave me clients. He helped me just jump right into it and start working and making money with it, which was wonderful. And I got good experience. And again, it did show me that while I enjoy training somewhat, it's not what I want to be doing full time. And it's just not, it's not that it wasn't what I thought it would be, because I didn't know that I love fitness. I love talking about fitness. I love learning about fitness. I love working out. I love getting results. I love the ways that it can prevent chronic health conditions. I believe it's the fountain of youth, like all of that stuff. I love promoting the benefits of fitness. But to get up at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, get up every Saturday morning and be in front of a client being motivating, that's another thing. That's a whole nother beast. And I've never been a morning person. As I've gotten older, I've gotten up earlier and earlier, but getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning is just, it's not what I want to be doing long term. So I finally gave my notice. So May 9th is my last day. And so just working through the rest of this month, I'm like, all right, tomorrow, let's just get through that morning. And again, I love my clients. Like I have the best clients. They're so fun. I love their personalities. I love chit-chatting with them. And that's the whole thing. I'd rather just sit there chit-chatting with them than actually training them. So again, I think this podcast is really where I want to put my energy. I will probably, once I start having that extra time, because the reason that I'll have extra time is I got a new work schedule at my full-time job where I'll start having Mondays off. So, and without training, I'll have my Saturdays off. So I'll actually have, like Saturday is a day where I could get up in the morning and do some sort of cooking show or film some sort of workout that I created and maybe put it on YouTube or do something like that. So I want to continue I'm going to keep my certification active. And then I just want to expand what I'm doing with cooking and nutrition and just food in general, because that's really where my passion is. And then also bringing in the fitness component on my own. So anyway, so that's kind of my state of like really good mental health and thinking, okay, this is going to be, I have an end in sight, doing something that, it's been a long year getting up that early and stepping out of my comfort zone like that. So I'm glad that I was able to do it for a full year. I think that's very responsible when you're starting working for someone else. So I'm glad that I did that. I have been resting more. As soon as I got done with my Whole Foods month, I really started working out pretty intensely. I mean, I did work out through that, but and after I got my Botox, I've been working out and really pushing myself pretty hard at the gym. And I did do a lot of walking at work. I rented out this little walking desk, and I've been kind of injuring my hips. I've been lifting heavier, and I've just learned that I have to foam roll before and after every single workout. And my hips kind of just got out of whack. So I'm in the process of doing my own rehabilitation. I've been doing more Pilates. I've been doing a lot of stretching, a lot of different types of warm-ups. And I just think that if you haven't been doing that kind of thing as you've grown up, I've just created these bad habits and these injuries and misalignment from years and years of sports injuries and not stretching, and now I'm paying for it. But when you think about it, physical therapy, when somebody goes to a physical therapist, it's a lot of like stretching. It's a lot of very small movements with stretch bands, or again, even just different types of stretching moves that people have to do pretty much every day to stay feeling good and pain-free. My mom, for example, she had spinal surgery, and if she doesn't do this series of stretching and these exercises that her physical therapist taught her, she will get stiff and will get injured again. I was listening to the Toast the other day, and Jackie was talking about how she just doesn't have time to do these physical therapy stretches that she knows she's supposed to do. And they both have different points of pain. From, I don't exactly know what caused their pain, whether it was from childbirth or, ways of moving, carrying kids, because obviously moms have to move and lift in different ways. But she had done physical therapy to rehabilitate herself, and she learned these small stretches that she was supposed to be doing to stay pain-free and injury-free. And she's just like, I don't have time to do it. And I think that's really the, like when I go into the gym, I don't want to sit there stretching. I really don't. I just want to get my workout done. And that's a lot of people, right? But I know, I'm like, I have to just take a few seconds to do this, or I'm gonna get hurt again. So it's annoying, but it's necessary. The last thing I wanted to talk about in my mental health check-in is I went to a party this past Saturday, and we were invited to my friend's 50th birthday. And it was down in Gilbert, which is like an hour, a little less than an hour south of us. And it was a bunch of friends, and it's so nice to, connect with people. It's just hard to get together with a lot of people these days. And there's certain, you fall into the same groups, and you have like your closest friends that you hang out with mostly. But then there's people that you just haven't been able to see because people have kids and busy lives. And so I had a little bit of social anxiety going down to it, because I don't go to a lot of parties these days. But once I got there, I was just really enjoying myself and having great conversations. And they had this karaoke machine, which I hate karaoke, but it was funny because a couple of my girlfriends been like, okay, we're going to go sing Love Shack, so if you want to come. And I was like, I don't know. And then I saw it. So then 3 of them got up there. It was a guy and 2 girls that got up there and started singing it. And they were, I don't know, they were like off a little bit. They weren't like really owning it. So I just like ran up there, grabbed a mic, and went to town. And it was actually really fun. It went well, and it was a very, very, very fun night. I did not need the last shot of Fireball that I did. I woke up feeling very hungover, but it was worth it. It was really a good time. And one of my friends who was there, so she's in great shape. She and I have connected over how grateful we are to have a very healthy parent. Like her mom was up there dancing and moving, and her mom's 80. And her mom came to this, we did this strip pole dancing class, and her mom was right there working the pole. Like, almost 80 years old. And I'm like, that is amazing. That's what my mom is going to be like. My mom is in, like, when my mom visits soon, we're going to do a Legree class, one of those really intense Pilates classes. And it's going to be intense for her, but she's in great shape and I think she can handle it just fine. And again, this friend and I, so obviously my dad has passed. I mean, it's been what, like almost 20 years, or probably like 15 years since he passed. And when I was at this party, so her mom is remarried to her stepfather, who also, he kind of reminded me of my stepfather, just, energetic, older gentleman. He was up there singing while his wife was like cheering him on and dancing. And again, they just looked like this very active, in shape couple. And that's like my stepfather now. Like, my stepfather and my mom go for runs. He does half marathons. I mean, he used to work on a farm. He's very strong, and he's turning 80 this year. And you would not know it because he's just in such great shape and he's so active. And again, my dad, when he was in his late 60s, moved and looked like he was in his 90s. He was in pain all the time. He could barely breathe. He couldn't walk long distances, or even short distances were a struggle. And when I was at this party, you have this parent that's thriving and dancing. And then her dad was, pulling around an oxygen tank and with a cane and moving very slowly. And look, that can happen to very healthy, in shape people, right? Anybody, I could come down with an illness tomorrow and be in that, really sick, really struggling. So that's not to say that extremely healthy and in shape people don't develop illnesses. But then there's just how you've lived, right? And the lifestyle choices you've made for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, your entire life builds up to where it's hard to just socialize at a party, walk around, a backyard. And I think, again, that's why movement is so important. That's what I try to preach through this podcast, is just maintaining some semblance of balance so that you have mobility as you age, you have enough strength to enjoy special moments with your family. So anyway, it stuck out to me because it was such a juxtaposition and exactly like what my life was kind of like with my one sick parent and one very healthy parent. And anyway, I talk about this type of stuff a lot, and then it was just there visually. So anyway, I wanted to talk about it here and mention it. But anyway, that is my mental health check-in of the week. I hope all of you have had a great mental health week yourselves. All right, let's get into some nutrient news. So I was shopping at Trader Joe's and they had dragon fruit on display. And I don't know why I've gotten served a couple Instagram ads with kids like slicing into a dragon fruit and eating the fruit, and it looks so beautiful. And I'm looking at this fruit and it's bright pink and it's got this really unique shape with these leaves and this interesting texture. Like, it feels almost like rubbery. It doesn't even feel real. And so I wanted to pick one up and try it because I didn't think I had tried dragon fruit. Maybe somewhere I've tried it, but I was curious and I wanted to taste it again because I couldn't remember what it tasted like. And then I finally sliced it open, and If any of you haven't seen it, I just posted it on my Instagram, but it's bright pink on the outside. But then when you slice it, it's a milky white with little seeds in them. Very similar in my thought it was reminding me a little bit of a kiwi, but it wasn't as tart and it wasn't as sweet. It didn't have, I have some sort of allergy towards kiwi a little bit, but this didn't trigger that allergy. And it wasn't as sweet as I thought it would be. I don't know, maybe they get sweeter, maybe that one that I tried wasn't, but it just had a very mild, nice, sweet flavor, great texture. I loved the texture. It was, I don't know, it had an unctuousness to bite into it. And then you've got the little snap of the seeds. But I wanted to talk about the health benefits of dragon fruit. So it's nutrient dense tropical fruit, and it's packed with antioxidants, which I'm all about getting in as many antioxidants as I possibly can. It's got fiber, prebiotics that promote gut health, that strengthen immunity and reduce inflammation. It supports heart health by lowering bad cholesterol, provides iron for healthy blood flow. And so it has all that fiber with the seeds in it. It has a lot of vitamin C in it, carotenoids, which help protect white blood cells from damage and strengthen the immune system. The fiber can help with blood sugar regulation, helping to slow down the sugar absorption through fiber. And I did not know it was rich in iron. I think that's really interesting. I've always been low in iron, so to know that it supports iron supplementation is wonderful. And then obviously anything that reduces inflammation is going to be great for you. And I did end up looking up whether I could give it to my dogs because I wasn't really hungry when I tried it. I just knew I had to finally use this thing or it was going to go bad. So I sliced it open and I tried a couple bites, and then I researched whether I could give it to my dogs, and lo and behold, I could. So they got a couple bites of it. They enjoyed it thoroughly. Anyway, that is my nutrient news of the week. All right, let's get into an unhealthy habit segment. What's it called? Segment. So I saw recently that Kylie Jenner was featured on the cover of Vanity Fair. And this was covered on the Juicy Scoop podcast with Heather McDonald. Smoking a cigarette. And I cannot stand this. I'm sorry. I just cannot with this trend that people, that celebrities, that influencers are trying to make cigarettes cool again. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? So this article from the New York Post are saying cigarettes are back. Hollywood is pushing a new generation to light up from coast to coast. Yes, you read that right. Cigarettes are having a moment again. Just when it seemed we'd burned that bad habit to the ground, Hollywood, ironically part of the nation's most health-obsessed states, is lighting up again. From trays filled with cigarettes at the Vanity Fair Oscars party to Kylie Jenner smoking on the mag's latest cover, Sarah Pigeons, Carolyn Bessette Kennedy taking effortless drags while skulking around John F. Kennedy's apartment in that love story show that's very popular right now. They're just talking about all these different, featured in very popular shows, these times when people are highlighting cigarettes. They're saying that smoking is well and truly back. Surgeon General's warnings be damned. And so this is a quote. I've definitely seen an uptick in singles describing themselves as sometimes smokers. Not pack-a-day smokers, but occasional where it's tied to nightlife, travel, aesthetic, and intimacy. And this is from Ashley Rodosta, a Gotham-based matchmaker and relationship coach. She said a post-sex cigarette is also making a comeback. I'm just looking at this shot of Kylie Jenner, just super sexy, legs spread, on the cover of Vanity Fair, lighting up a butt. Rodosta emphasized that while having a smoke is now back in vogue, how the habit shows up in everyday life has changed in significant ways. What's ironic is that many of these same people are otherwise intensely wellness oriented, like cold plunges, peptides, clean eating, the whole thing, she continued. So cigarettes are showing up less as a real lifestyle and more as an occasional indulgence tied to image, mood, and social setting. Hopefully you don't get addicted. Like, people are doing it. Oh, it's a lifestyle thing. It's cool. Oh, look how cool I look. This is nightlife. This is cool. I'm having this occasional cigarette. Well, hopefully you don't get addicted to this cancer causing decision. Rebecca Reingold, a 30-year comedian based in Manhattan, is one of those city-based singles who fancies herself an occasional smoker, specifically after she's had a few glasses of whiskey on the rocks following one of her shows, as she finds it's an effective way to schmooze with other comedians and influential folks in the entertainment industry. She said, smoking is definitely much more prevalent in the comedy world. She said, I think that's actually what's pushed me to do it more frequently. It's also a great way to network. Cigarette breaks are a really good way to meet people and have conversation. It's like the water cooler of the art world. Though Reingold admits to poo-pooing smokers when she was younger, even going so far as to cheekily walk by people engaging in the habit and cough dramatically to let them know it's disgusting, she now feels that it's a choice everyone must make of their own volition. We're all adults and we're all educated as best we could about the dangers of smoking, Reingold said. So now it's up to everybody on their own to use that education and make that decision for themselves. Plus, you don't know when your time is going to come. God forbid you walk outside and get hit by a bus. So if you want to dabble in a drunk cig from time to time, who cares? You're doing shots. The 25-year-old Manhattanite, Kurt Walker, the subject of smoking was never taboo, having grown up on a tobacco farm in North Carolina, which he believes people absolutely have a choice in whether or not they want to become a smoker, emphasizing that there's more than enough science to understand the consequences. He's drawn to the element of glamour and sophistication that cigs can add to a night out. In their opinion, I think it's disgusting. I'm sorry. I do not think this is attractive. I do not think it's sexy. I hate the way people smell after they smoke. It sticks to your hair. It's gross. I like to enjoy a smoke outside of a lounge at night. Walker, who doesn't consider himself a habitual smoker, but presented his 25th birthday guest with a spread of cigs on a gold platter. The music's loud, your martini is strong, and it's a bit warm inside. You head out for a cigarette, and it's a breath of fresh air until you pull all that secondhand smoke into your lungs and flick your ash and burn someone's jacket with your cigarette. He's like, you can hear in the conversation sparks. He's like, I met a lot of new people over a cigarette. Any chic celebrity or influencer is sharing photos of themselves smoking these days. Oh my God. Walker continued, especially in New York City, all you have to do is go outside to see it. Doormen smoke, patrons at bars, the fashion students over by FIT, and everyone in between. Walker personally enjoys following the @Sigfluencers Instagram account run by 27-year-old Canadian content creator Jared Oviatt. The page, which Oviatt started in 2022, boasts 98.8 thousand followers, who tune in for shots of their favorite celebs and influencers, from Sean Penn at the Golden Globes to Kesha posing in a floor-length fur coat, lighting up and chilling out. In the account's bio, it reads, Chapel Roan-inspired tagline, your favorite smoker's favorite smoker. It's almost a rejection of wellness culture, Oviatt told the Post, chalking his own occasional smoking up to a tendency towards nihilism, or an acknowledgement of, if I smoke and look a little different 10 years from now than I would have if I hadn't smoked, I can just reverse it with a facelift or anti-aging serums. It's this idea that the world is going to end anyway, and even if it is, I can change my face in the process. Oh my God. I mean, but Dr. Ben Talley, a Beverly Hills-based plastic surgeon, shared that to rely on skincare products and aesthetic procedures to erase the damage of smoking can cause to the face is very naive and hopelessly optimistic. Thank you, doctor. Finally, somebody that's speaking some sense. He said cigarette smoking is very likely one of the worst age accelerants possible. Okay, that's all I need to hear, right? And this is the irony, right? You have all of these celebrities, they're all doing the peptides and the this and the that, and then they're like smoking a cigarette. Cigarette smoking is very likely one of the worst age accelerants possible. That needed to be repeated. Okay. There's no amount of magic, serums, potions, or vitamins that would reverse the damage done by smoking. Facelifts, fat grafting, and any skin treatments are so much less effective because we can't rely on the patient's body to heal properly, nor can we rely on their tissues to have good structural integrity. It's a surgeon's headache and sometimes a nightmare. Okay. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. That's what we needed to hear. Finn Fika, a 20-year-old content creator and musician based near LA, understands and appreciates that her penchant for cigarettes may not be the best thing for the short or long-term health of her skin, not to mention the rest of her body, but feels that her sense of originality is ultimately what's most important. Smoking cigarettes definitely won't help you fit the traditional beauty standard. But I've spent most of my life hoping to look interesting rather than perfect or beautiful. Wow. Fika, who shared that she indulges in about 5 cigarettes a week, sometimes more when she goes out, enjoys that smoking rather than vaping, can often lead to new connections, describing the habit as almost a form of meditation. You have to intentionally smoke a cigarette. You might talk to someone new, or you might be by yourself just thinking about something. It's a little more meditative because of your intentions behind it and the time that it takes. Plus, like many have chosen to revamp the habit, she can't help but feel drawn to the nostalgia of it all. I think smoking a cigarette is romanticizable. It's weird, but I feel like smoking just makes me feel more present in the moment. There's a nostalgia factor linked to them because they've been around for so long. It's the same way that everyone likes classic cars and how blue jeans are never going out of style and how a glass bottle of Diet Coke is never not going to be cool. Cigarettes fit the same category. Now, what do you guys think? I mean, look, I definitely preach, indulging in food, occasionally, even carcinogenic food like salami or some of these things. And again, the Surgeon General is comparing foods like that to cigarettes. So am I being a hypocrite by saying, oh, it's fine to eat that type of food occasionally, but it's terrible to smoke a cigarette occasionally? Are they equal? That is something I'm going to want to research and do another topic on that. I do not think that they're equal. I do think that I just don't think the health concerns and the potential to become addicted is the same. I really don't. I was just talking to a girl at my work who's been trying so hard to give up smoking, and she's struggling. She's like, it's now part of these habits I have. Like when I get up in the morning and I have a cup of coffee, I'm used to having a cigarette, and she's struggling. And she's noticed like she's coughing so much, and she has no energy, and going on short walks, she's out of breath. And I just think that especially these types of influencers, I mean, look, people are going to do what they want to do. People that are trying to make it cool. I mean, I do think that if I was somebody that was going to be featured on a magazine, that's not the message I would want to put out. I think that there's a lot of different ways to look cool, and I just don't think that it's responsible to be perpetuating that smoking is cool. I just don't. And obviously I have a background of family history with COPD and smoking, lung cancer. So I'm highly triggered by this and am raging against that machine because I do see that people are getting influenced by this. People are everyone is susceptible to influence. And this type of influence is sometimes the most impactful for younger people. So that's why I'm really vehemently against this. And I love that this little tiny statement from a doctor talking about how it can accelerate your age. In that huge article of all these influencers that think it's cool and it helps with socialization and blah, blah, blah. I was listening to a podcast from Sophia with an F, and she was struggling to give up her vaping. She was addicted to it. And she'd gone in to get some like filler or whatever, a dermatologist, and they were worried about doing too much because your body, she's like, stop vaping. Your body, it can't heal itself right now. Your body might recover. You might get more collagen back after you stop smoking, and your body can replenish some of its stores. So anyway, not cool in my opinion. Feel free to DM me if you have any strong opinions on this topic. That is my unhealthy habit segment of the week. All right, let's get into my healthy habits of the week. So this week I have been eating some really delicious, healthy things. Now, for me, I am someone that does need high carb in my life. I do want to get in a good amount of protein. I always shoot for at least 100 grams a day, which I'm, for the most part, pretty successful at hitting. And so now that I'm going in on Mondays, I often get this salad I get my free salad on Mondays at work, and the one that I've been choosing has the chickpeas, chicken, and I think is there any other protein in it? Because I know it has onions. Anyway, it has like a lot of leafy greens, which is good because I don't actually eat a lot of leafy greens. I usually make my own salads with just cucumbers. But I did end up bringing my own dressing to work. So for that salad, because it's kind of like a chicken, but has some Italian elements to it, I brought my red wine Dijon vinaigrette that I love. And that made the salad so much better because they have one of those packets of Ken's Steakhouse dressing, which is okay. For the most part, I do not like store-bought dressing. I don't like the taste of the preservatives in it. You can just tell a store-bought dressing. I like to make homemade dressings, and they just taste so much better. Yesterday, I ended up getting an Asian-inspired salad. So it had some noodles, it had cabbage, carrots. The only protein in it, the only thing I don't like about the salad is there isn't a lot of protein because it just has some soy, like some soybeans in it. Or yes, I think they're soybeans. And so now that dressing does come with another Ken's Steakhouse, and it's a sesame dressing, a pan sesame, it actually was pretty good. But this week I ended up bringing my homemade ginger dressing, which has the fresh ginger, soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, garlic. Did I already say soy sauce? What else? Avocado oil. And this dressing, it tastes like the Benihana dressing. It has white miso in it. Oh my God. It's like a ginger miso dressing. So damn good. I'm like licking the bowl after. It's so good. So had that. And then, I had some chicken left over, and I wanted to do the panko crusted chicken tenders. So just so Chad and I had some quick, yummy protein to grab. And so I did do a little bit of buffalo sauce just to coat it. And then I did the cheese and panko coating and baked it. That makes it nice and crispy. But what I did this week, again, very carbolicious, but very, very, very satisfying and delicious. So I usually just eat those chicken tenders plain. I might dip them in a little bit of extra buffalo sauce. And with that, it's very high protein and just a little bit of carbs with the panko. But I ended up putting it over rice, white rice, and I put some of the chili oil, the chili onion oil, and the soy sauce. So it was like this spicy Asian, like you couldn't really taste the buffalo. After the chicken's baked, you don't really taste the buffalo anymore. But when I chopped up this chicken, I crisped it up in the air fryer and then mixed it in with this white rice with the chili and soy oil. Oh my God. It was so good and so carby and satisfying and yum. Yum, 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 yum. Very, very, very good. And then I would make my own when I'm home. I did get some cucumbers and I've been making my cucumber and carrot and pistachio salad with that ginger miso dressing. So that's been good. I did go out to eat the other day and I was debating. I was like, do I get the Thai lettuce wraps or do I get the spicy rigatoni with sausage? And I'm like, I'd eaten something. Oh, I'd eaten this kind of heavy sandwich earlier and I'd made my porchata sandwich, which I did talk about on my VIP episode, but I had recreated this porchata sandwich from Andreoli's. I had roasted this pork and sliced it up and put it on a baguette. Oh my God, it's so good. So I had half of that sandwich earlier that day. So I don't know, I just wasn't pasta just, it wasn't what I did want something a little bit lighter. But when I'm reading about the dressing or the sauce that they had the chicken in, it was like a glazed, anyway, it sounded sweet. And I'm like, I don't know, I think this is going to be too sweet. And it was. I mean, it was. Like the sauces were sweet, the glaze on the chicken was sweet. So it was okay. It was fine. I did just post a picture of it on my Instagram, but I kind of wish I'd gotten the rigatoni instead. I'm sure I'll go back to this restaurant, but it was like at a wine bar. What's it called? Cooper's Hawk. Have you heard of that? It's like a wine club. They have good food. I've been recommended to go there many times, and I finally did. The wine was amazing. But yeah, these Thai chicken lettuce wraps, a little too sweet for my taste, but okay. And lots of working out. I will say that I've been using the creatine on a regular basis. This has been the most I've been consistent. And I've been, doing it a good amount of weight training. And I will say what I am noticing is one of the things I was worried about with using creatine on a regular basis is your muscles do retain more fluid, more water. And so some people were like, oh, I feel puffy, or oh, I see the scale go up. And here's what I'm going to say. Yes, I am noticing the scale is up a little bit from where I normally would be, which is fine. I'm not so worried about a little bit of fluctuation when I know I'm eating well and I know I'm working out. I will say I feel more solid. Like I like my muscles and my body does feel more solid, but I also feel like I've been carrying this little bit of extra belly fat that is very stubborn. So I don't think that that's related to the creatine, but I'm also just not seeing where, I don't know, it's a little bit different than my normal physique and what I'm used to when I'm really being a little bit more disciplined with my eating behaviors and working out behaviors. But overall, I think I am feeling good energy. And do I feel stronger at the gym, more capable at the gym? Not really. I mean, no. So I don't know. We'll see if I keep doing this long term. I guess cognitively, I feel really good. I don't know if it's necessarily different than I felt before I used creatine. So anyway, results are we're still waiting for the final result, whether I'll continue or not. But anyway, those were my healthy habits of the week. I hope all of you have had some delicious, healthy habits this week yourselves. All right, let's get into my tasty treat segment. So I'm still really trying to not go hog wild with my sugar, with my processed food, because when I'd done the whole foods and cut out processed sugar for that month in February, what I noticed is that I would, I'd be going into the weekend and I'd be like, oh, well, I need the sugary candy, and I need the chocolate, and I need the baked good, and I need the pot, I need all of this stuff, and I need to taste this, I need to taste this. And it was just getting out of control. I'm like, oh my God, I'm out of control. So now that I'm trying to just got back into control with my eating, and as I go back into adding in these indulgences, adding in processed sugar, I'm trying to choose one thing, right? I'm trying not to buy a million different things at the grocery store, because then I'm just like, I did hear a podcast that's what they said. They're like, it's ideal if you want that ice cream, you want that, cookie, whatever, go out and buy that one thing. Don't get the whole store and bring it into your home, right? So I've been trying to do a little bit more or less variety, trying to contain it to like one or two things. So the other day I didn't really have anything in the house, and I'm like wanting something sweet. So I did have some of these dark chocolate bars from Trader Joe's left over. So I chopped those into bites, into like little pieces, and then I made some homemade chocolate chip cookies and used the dark chocolate in them. And those were excellent. Those were delicious. So Chad had gotten, or like a couple days ago, Chad was ordering from this sub place that I love. They have these huge Rice Krispie treats that are like to die for. And so he was like, do you want anything? And I usually say no, but I'm like, can you get me one of those Rice Krispie bars? So he ended up getting me a big one of those Fruity Pebble ones. And then there were another little piece of Fruity Pebble one left over, and a half of a chocolate one. And I'm like, now I ate all of those in one night. They were amazing. And then, so this past Sunday, I did have some of the hot honey popcorn in the cupboard, but I'm like, okay, I've been having the hot honey popcorn a good amount. I'm over it. I wanted something else. And I saw these apple fritters at the grocery store that really caught my eye. I'm like, okay, there's apple, it's fried, there's pastry, there's like this sugary glaze over it. But I will say, and I should always remember this, for me, the look of an apple fritter is so tempting. They look like they will be the most delicious thing you have ever eaten in your entire life. And then you bite into it, and it's often, what I find at least, and you give your own opinion here, but for me, when I bite into this apple fritter, it's kind of like dry a little bit. I don't know, the pastry itself within an apple fritter is not always the moistest. And so you really need to microwave it for a couple seconds, but then the coating of glaze kind of melts a little bit, so it's not as visually appealing, because I like the look of that. I like it when the glaze is thick and you can kind of see it's like caked on a little bit and it's like thick white. That's what I like, because I like a lot of sugar glaze. If I'm eating something like that, that's what I want to see. So I only ate one, because again, I ate the first piece and I'm like, this isn't that great. And then I microwaved the last half of it and it was better. But overall, apple fritters, I need to not ever buy them again. I just need to remind myself, Veronica, it's not going to be that good. It just looks so much better than it's going to be. So I did get those, and we went to this place called Trevor's the other day, and I ordered this white spicy sausage pizza. Oh my God. So Trevor's was reviewed by that guy that does the pizza reviews from Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy. So he did a review on this pizza place. I guess he was in town for the Waste Management Open, and he does these pizza reviews. And I guess he gave this pizza place a really good review, and it just blew up. And it's really good pizza. It's thin crust, it's crispy. I think they have like one of those Italian pizza ovens. So good. Had the rest for the next day. Brought some to go. Another delicious thing I had recently. So my boss was saying that, for anybody in the office tomorrow, there's going to be a bake sale. There's going to be burritos and this and that and baked goods, and, come and buy some if you want some. And I was like, I just made a comment like, I love a good chorizo burrito. And he's like, me too. And we kind of started going back and forth. And then he ends up buying me this chorizo burrito. He's like, hey, I got you a chorizo burrito. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. You guys, this chorizo. So I have been on a mission looking for an equivalent to this chorizo burrito that I got at this assisted living community one time. I know, random that this assisted living community had the best burrito ever. One of my colleagues, this was years ago, had told me, he's like, hey, this place is giving out burritos. He goes, all you have to do is drive by and they'll give you one. He's like, trust me. He goes, this place has the best burritos. So I'm like, oh, why not? I'll go grab one. Oh my God. Ever since that I had that burrito, I've been ordering, when I go someplace for breakfast, occasionally I'll be like, okay, let me try this chorizo burrito and see if it compares. I have not been able to find one that compares to the deliciousness of this original one that I had. This one, you guys, okay, so my company does sell them on a regular basis. This is going to be very dangerous because they're not expensive. They're only like $3.50 because I get an employee discount. And I put mine, I cut it in half, and I put half in the panini, and we have this panini press, and I just sprayed it with some non-sticking spray, some cooking spray, and then made it crispy. Because that's the only problem with burritos. They're typically just really soft, and I like some texture and some crunch. But this panini maker made it so crispy and delicious, and it had a little bit of potato, and the chorizo was perfect. Oh, so I'm going to get one for Chad next time because I did not share this burrito. I was like, this is all mine. I did not offer him any. I feel bad, but I didn't. I was like, I want this entire burrito. If he had asked, I would have given him a bite. He didn't ask, so I didn't offer. So I will get him one though because he needs to try it. So good. So that was amazing. Now, the other day we had a team meeting, and our boss was going to get us lunch. And so someone was like, DeFalco's. So DeFalco's is this Italian restaurant that everyone loves. It's like an Italian grocer, plus they have food. And I've eaten there before, and I was like, okay. I was not that impressed, to be honest. And I said, Andreoli's is so much better than DeFalco's. So I was trying to push my agenda for what we should order. I lost. He got DeFalco's, and he ended up getting, now out of all the pasta dishes, now I went into work that day starving. I'm like, I am going to fill up on this pasta. I'm ready. I was ready. I'd worked out. I just had a couple of 2 very light protein shakes that morning. So I had a lot of protein. I'm like, ready for my pasta. I'm ready for some bread, ready for some salad. I was expecting a couple different pasta dishes with salad and breadsticks. And it was 2 trays of lasagna. Now, if there's any pasta I do not like in Italian cuisine, it is lasagna. I do not like the cheese layered in between. I've just never liked it. but it was the only option there. So there's one with meat, it had some sausage in it. There was one without meat, and then there was some bread, no salad. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm eating. I'm gonna eat it. So I took a decent sized piece of lasagna, and then I took 2 pieces of bread, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make the most of it. And I picked off most of the cheese. And I just, I'd eat a little piece of the noodle with a little bit of the sausage and a little bite of the bread. I mean, I was full. I filled up, and it actually was not bad. It wasn't bad. Was it the best thing? No, but it was okay. I made the most of it. And then I finally tried the other day a Whataburger. Have you ever had a Whataburger? So we have one pretty close to us in our neighborhood, and I wanted something, I don't know, I was craving a burger, and I was planning on trying Mendocino Farms, which just got into town here in Scottsdale, but I think I'm gonna wait till my mom's in town. I was considering stopping by there, but I'm like, you know what? I just feel like a burger today. So I stopped through, I got a Whataburger with just onions, pickles, and they were supposed to put mustard, but they didn't put any mustard. And then I got a side of onion rings. Now the onion rings were very crispy, so that was good. They were okay. And then I got the Whataburger. Now, it was good. I think it's better than Five Guys. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a Carl's Jr. burger. If I had to compare it to any burger I've had, I'd say Carl's Jr. Still Smash Burger is the best, but and I'd say the only reason I like In-N-Out better is because In-N-Out does toast the bun, and everything is just so perfectly on the burger with the In-N-Out burger. But this was a good burger, I have to say. It was pretty good. So anyway, those were my tasty treats of the week. I hope all of you have had some delicious tasty treats this week yourselves. All right, let's get into my podcast review. Now, this podcast caught my eye. It was from Gary Brecka, the Ultimate Human Podcast, which I'm not a huge fan of, to be honest. I was recommended this show by one of my listeners, and he is, he's one of those biohackers, and he does have some good information on there, but some of his stuff, I don't know why, he rubs me the wrong way sometimes. But this one caught my eye because it was about how to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. The reason this caught my eye is because when I was going through my certification to become a personal trainer, they were talking about how we would have clients that would want to do just this. That would want that their goal would be to build muscle and to lose fat at the same time. And they recommended that we tell our clients, choose one, right? Choose one of those. Let's focus on that first, and then we can focus on the next goal. So they're like, focus on fat loss first or building muscle first, but it's hard to do both at the same time because you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. And naturally, you are going to lose some lean mass when you're in a calorie deficit. Now, that's not to say that if you're using a lot of protein and you're doing it the right way. I mean, that's the problem with these GLP-1s, right? Is that if you're not eating enough protein and you're not doing enough resistance training, your body is consuming its lean mass at a much higher rate than normal. But that's with any weight loss. Any weight loss, you are going to lose lean mass to some extent. And so I was like, okay, so what is he going to say here that's different from, what I learned becoming a personal trainer? So he started talking about how everybody wants that summer body, and what they're talking about is they want to build muscle and lose fat. And he's like, this has little to do with the number that you see when you step on the scale, obviously, right? Muscle is going to weigh more than fat. He's like, it's all about body composition. He's like, you can't starve yourself. He said, it's not going to come from doing excessive amounts of cardio. He said, you need structure, you need a great training program. He said, because you can't train with intensity all year round and expect to see continual progression. He's like, you could hurt yourself. He talks about how there can be two people that stand next to each other and weigh exactly the same, but they could look completely different due to body composition, how much lean mass they have compared to how much fat that they have. You know, muscle is obviously much more dense and compact, whereas fat does occupy more physical space. So if one person has more muscle mass and the other person has way more fat, their bodies look completely different. He said the trick to building muscle and losing fat at the same time is a process that your body goes through called recomposition. He said, but it's important to know that this process doesn't occur at the same rate for everybody. He said it's most effective for beginners, people with higher body fat percentages, and people that are going back to training or starting to train at for the first time or after being away for a very long time. He's like, the more advanced you are, the slower your body recomposition becomes. Your body does adapt to training methodologies. He said, now the way that this is possible comes down to two physiological processes, muscle protein synthesis and fat burning. He said muscle protein synthesis is the process responsible for building new muscle proteins, and it's the driving force behind the adaptive response to resistance training. The primary signals that trigger this effect are mechanical tension of muscle fibers and the availability of amino acids. He said you get amino acids from protein, but you can also take amino acid supplements. To build muscle, you have to have enough of all 9 essential amino acids. If you're deficient in even one of these essential amino acids, your body's ability to build muscle becomes extremely limited. And this is why, side note from the podcast, this is why these peptides are so popular. They're amino acids that are going to go in. That's why some people that are using these peptides are getting results faster and with less effort than somebody that's not injecting themselves with these amino acids that, help to build muscle. He said a great way to enable muscle protein synthesis is through resistance training, structured around progressive overload. So like gradually increasing how much you lift. Particularly compound movements that move large muscle groups through a full range of motion. He said things like squats, deadlifts, presses, and rows are great examples, but of course this is not enough to meaningfully stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Sufficient amino acids must be present. Specifically leucine, which is a branched chain amino acid that acts as a key regulator of the mTOR pathway, which makes it possible for muscle protein synthesis to occur. Research shows that 3 to 4 grams of leucine per meal. Typically, you can consume this by eating 20 to 40 grams of high quality protein, and this is required to maximally stimulate this pathway in most adults. Now, this takes me back to my ex-husband, and he was like a gym rat. He was always trying to build muscle, and he was very natural. If you saw him with his shirt off or shirt on, he looked kind of skinny, but it was because he was so lean. And he did have a lot of lean muscle. And he went from just drinking protein shakes to drinking, he had some sort of liquid that he consumed that was branched chain amino acids. And he would talk to me at that time about how this was helping him, get results, build muscle. I didn't really understand at the time, but now it all makes sense. Gary goes on to say, this is why the total amount of protein that you consume per day matters. Some research wanted to find out how much protein you have to consume to support muscle mass in healthy adults across different age groups. The findings indicated that adults 65 plus, a daily protein intake was 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight was associated with significant increases in lean muscle mass. In younger adults, protein intake should be higher, about 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight for similar effects. Anyone involved in regular exercise training or those seeking to build as much muscle mass as possible, he recommends aiming for the higher end of those ranges. He said building muscle is only half of the equation. He said you also have to burn fat. Fat oxidation is how fatty acids are broken down in the mitochondria to ultimately produce energy for your cells as ATP. He said this is how stored fat is converted into usable energy. For this to occur at a productive rate, two things have to happen. He said the first thing is stored fatty acids must be mobilized. This is regulated through hormone levels, particularly lower insulin levels and higher catecholamines. He said number two, he said the body must require energy. He said a sustained caloric deficit creates the energetic demand necessary to create reliance on stored fat. However, the size of the deficit matters. A lot of people try to aggressively limit their calorie intake and they don't see weight loss. When calories are reduced too aggressively, the body does not continue losing weight. It undergoes a process called metabolic adaptation. As energy intake drops, the body works to conserve its fuel, as it does so by burning fewer calories than expected and resisting further weight loss. So that's the interesting thing. It's like you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose fat, but it can't be too large of a deficit or your body is going to hold on to your fat. So it is a balancing act here. He said this is because your body is in survival mode, trying to protect itself from starvation. He said this can cause a wide range of side effects, including increased hunger, decreased energy levels, slower recovery, and imbalances within hormones. As a result, fat loss slows, plateaus become more common, and adherence becomes more difficult. He said, in order to prevent this from happening, your goal should be to lose a maximum of 1 pound per week. He said this is a healthier linear decline, which also minimizes muscle loss. And that's what, it's interesting because that's what that doctor, when I did that last podcast review, the doctor using the GLP-1s, Dr. Craig Conover, his clients using the GLP-1s, his goal was 1 pound a week so that they don't lose too much muscle mass. And he can follow them, make sure that they're getting their protein, that they're doing their resistance training, making sure, again, to minimize that lean mass reduction. He said the food you eat is broken down into macronutrients. So proteins convert into amino acids, carbohydrates into glucose, and fats into fatty acids. He said hormones and cellular signals dictate where those nutrients go. And the biggest driver in improving how your body handles where macronutrients go is resistance training. So this is really good information here. He's totally right. And that's why the hormones that you secrete really matter when it comes to getting results in your body. He said lifting weights can increase the way your muscles absorb glucose. That means that after consuming consuming carbohydrates after training, they're more likely to replenish muscle glycogen rather than be stored as fat. He said while total daily intake matters, nutrient timing can provide a small, meaningful edge. Now here's where I'm like, a lot of experts disagree with him here. So he said protein intake also plays a crucial role. Consuming 1.2 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight maximizes muscle protein synthesis. He said, and let's not forget about how important insulin sensitivity is. When you are insulin sensitive, you're more responsive to insulin. Nutrients are preferentially shoveled into muscle tissue. So this improves as you maintain a healthy body fat level. Also, if you sleep 8 hours per night and reduce stress and stay physically active. So all of these things, right? Reducing your stress, reducing some of these chemicals that get released when you are stressed. increasing your muscles so that the glucose in your body is just absorbed by the muscles. He said, for all this to work, you have to have a well thought out training program. It's going to help you propel you're closer to your summer body. He said, you can't train at maximum intensity all year long, and expect to continually improve and not get hurt. He said, this is where periodization comes into play. Periodization is the strategic changing of training over time. It's the deliberate adjustment of load, volume, intensity, and recovery so that your body continues to adapt without breaking down. And I do my own periodization in different periods throughout the year. Over the holidays, I really slow down with some of my training. I just take more walks. I'm, eating more indulgent food and just not training as intensely as I normally would. And then other parts of the year, I do pick up training and I am more intense and my workouts are more frequent. So having those breaks throughout the year, I think has allowed me to, I wouldn't say continually gain, but to stay, to maintain where I like to be honest. He said, linear periodization gradually increases intensity while lowering volume over time. You might start with higher reps and lighter weight and gradually move to lower reps and heavier weight. This is often best for beginners due to its clear progressive structure. He said block periodization focuses on specific adaptations and phases. For example, one phase might focus on increasing muscle size or hypertrophy, while others are centered around strength and power. He said this is highly strategic and often used for athletes. And that's the thing, like my clients are mainly after, just general health, right? They're not necessarily trying to get big and muscular. They might want to lose some fat. They want to prevent injuries as they age. They know it's important to prevent chronic health conditions. Some of them do want to, I would say the majority of them have some weight or fat to lose. But overall, they're not athletes training for something specific. He said the last plan I would recommend is daily undulating periodization. He said this is a training model where intensity and rep ranges change throughout the week rather than staying fixed. He said it exposes your muscles to different mechanical tensions, metabolic stress levels, and neural demand. And I actually liked some of what he said here. He's giving an example, like Monday would be strength focused, working in lower rep ranges. He said, I personally prefer 5 to 8 repetition per set, using heavier weight, usually 85 to 95% your 1 rep max. He said rest periods are longer with 2 to 3 minutes between sets to fully recover between sets. He said on Wednesday, you would focus more on hypertrophy, like building muscle. You begin to work moderate rep ranges, typically 10 to 12 reps per set, lower weight, typically 65 to 80% of your 1 rep max. And this should be done with controlled tempo, shorter rest intervals, about 1 minute. And then Friday would be the final day, and it's centered around endurance and volume. This is designed to increase total workload and metabolic stress. Repetitions are higher, ranging between 12 to 15 plus reps per set with lighter loads at about 40 to 60% of your 1 rep max. Rest is crucial, of course. He said your body needs time to recover to allow these results to take place. Now, it looks like I didn't notate this one area where he was talking about the timing of when you're consuming protein. And I was like, that is so strange, because old science said, oh, you need to consume that protein shake right after you work out. And my ex used to do this. And that was the school of thought for a very long time, that when you consume your protein or when you consume your carbs, that is very important. He mentioned it briefly. I did mention, he's like, there, you could get some small benefit from this. But again, my training said it really doesn't matter. It's more about total intake per day, like how much total protein you're eating per day, how many carbs and fats you're getting for that day. And then that was backed up by this other expert I just heard on Diary of a CEO podcast, who said the same thing. He was quoting these research studies that showed, people that were trying to gain lean mass and whether they ate protein 3 times a day or 6 times a day. And he said the results really were the same. He goes, so it doesn't really matter when you intake it. Gary was talking about, I guess I didn't really notate it well when I was doing the review, but that stuck out to me. I'm like, why is he saying that? Why is he saying that you need to eat protein at specific times? And he said there could be small benefits to doing this. And I'm like, really? I'm like, other experts are saying the opposite of that. So I don't know. He did have some good information here. And look, the ISSA training certification program that I went through, their focus is how to work with the general public, right? And when it comes to what a lot of people need from their trainers, like a lot of people have general goals, right? They want to be in better shape for summer. They want to have energy for their kids. They do want to lose some weight or some fat, right? They want to fit better in their clothes. And so it's not about, like, Gary Brecka is one of those biohackers. He's doing the cold plunging. He's doing the NAD shots. He's doing the peptides. He's doing all of these things. And I think that's a different level of focus, intensity, drive, discipline, restriction than the average person is going to do or be interested in doing. And I think the point of, when it comes to education for trainers, just general trainers, I think as you advance, like if I had been like, I'm going to do this training thing and I'm going to become the best, most knowledgeable trainer I can become, it would take years of studying. It would take years and years and years of building this knowledge and using some of these strategies potentially to work with athletes or people that were on this mission to achieve their greatest level of physicality in their 60s, for example, right? So I think there's people like him who are willing to eat in very restrictive ways to get the most nutrients, the most amount of protein. And then there's people that just is not realistic for them. People that work every day, that are going to these jobs, that have their kids, that aren't so into having the absolute perfect body, right? I think that some of these biohackers like Gary Brecka are ardently trying to reverse their biological age and are literally looking at every single minute thing they can do that is going to get them that extra edge, that extra result. And so doing something like this, being, having that very specific training program to build muscle, to continually get those results. Absolutely. Like there's definitely a demographic for that. When it came to talking to clients about, how to get enough protein in, right? They're like, do what they're already doing. Look at what they're already doing that's successful and add to that. I did that for myself. Like I used to judge myself for relying on those protein powders to get a good source of my protein in every day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop judging myself in that because that's the way it's going to work for me. And if that's the way it's going to work for me, that's what I'm going to do. And so this is, again, that next level, grass-fed beef and cooking in tallow and eating, steak and avocado for dinner, just again, whole food eating. So I do see how for someone that's willing and desires to go that extra level, that there is a way that you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. That's going to come from eating high amounts of protein, eating enough fat and calories to still be in a calorie deficit, but eating so much protein that you're still building muscle, and you've built enough muscle where the calorie deficit is not taking away too much of that lean mass, because you're eating so much protein and fat and limiting carbs. Your body is taking from its stores of fat and burning that for energy. And it's hard to do. It is really hard to do. You have to be very disciplined with your diet. And again, that's just not realistic for a lot of the general population. So what I've learned from my certification courses is more, again, for working with the average human versus the ultimate human podcast, right? Like, that's a different level, which again, I definitely look at some of those things, and, you know, with my superfood smoothie, trying to get in as many antioxidants as I can and putting in that extra protein so I can get up to that 100 grams per day. So again, what I like to do is listen to these people that are doing everything, because I can't do everything. And I like taking this and this and this and the things that I can fit into and want to fit into my lifestyle. So anyway, what do you think? Where do you fit along that spectrum? Are you somebody that's trying to become that ultimate human, getting those extra results? Are you just trying to maintain, a healthy level so that you prevent chronic disease? Are you just trying to get into an exercise regimen? Just even trying to motivate to work out a couple times a week? Everybody's coming from a different place. I think it's just important not to compare yourselves to other people and to really do what's right for you. Because I think we all have different things going on in our lives. Being able to focus on all of those elements is a privilege, right? Not everyone can afford to do all those things. Not everyone has the time or the capacity to do all those things. So it's fun to talk about. And I love hearing other people that are going to those extremes, because again, I'm like, oh, I couldn't do that. But again, picking out the things that will work for you, I think is what I like to do anyway. And everyone has to find out what they like to do. So that is the show. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Please leave a rating or review for this show. Next week will be a Craving More episode. I am going to be talking next week about a controversial topic. What do you do if your teenager is developing an eating disorder? Again, I don't have a teenager. I don't have kids. If you do have kids, you might want to listen to this, because I'm not talking from a place of knowledge. I'm reviewing a podcast on that topic that does have experts that talk on this topic. It's all fascinating for me because I don't live in that world, and I marvel at the difficulties that some families are going through that have to deal with something like that. So anyways, we'll be talking about that on the next show, which is going to be behind that paywall. So if you want to subscribe, you can go find me on Instagram at the Diet Obsessed Podcast. I have a link in my bio where you can click on that, subscribe to those shows. And until we meet again, I hope all of you have a very balanced week.